Hi everyone, Maryann here, Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. Thank you for joining me today. I felt with the events of the last 48 hours with Israel on alert for war against Palestine, that we should take a good look at the world over the next 3 months. Of course, we have the global unrest, manifesting in so many ways at this time. We have a solar eclipse coming up on October the 14th, and I've looked at that chart. It'll be in Libra, and there is a whole lot of tension, conflict, and also a theme around justice. I'm actually going to do a separate reading to this on the Australian constitutional referendum to establish a voice, and I will look at partially at that eclipse chart, bearing in mind that Australia is 15 hours in front. However, some of the similar sort of patterns can be seen. I might also look separately at a Greenwich time chart for the actual solar eclipse in that reading as well. But I did feel that it was time to look more broadly, globally, over the next 3 months. So, of course, what did I do? But I got this very heavy crystal ball out, which I did use in my annual predictions. And I really did do a bit of a deep dive psychically in what could emerge over the next 3 months. Now, I did get Clair, I should say, comes in on my my right side, so I did get actual clairaudient, as well as clairaudient messages coming through. So I'll just take you through them, and then we'll draw some cards for the next month by month for the next 3 months. So obviously the most pressing in October was Israel and it's being on alert for war after Hamas fired multiple missiles into Israel. It's sort of like a surprise attack. It's still unfolding, and they actually have some Israelis residents and also soldiers. They've taken them hostage. Now, this comes on the back, because nothing ever happens in isolation, does it? Comes on the back of Benjamin Netanyahu coming back into power, seeking to really establish what would be an authoritarian type of rule in Israel. And of course, part of all of that is cracking down on the Palestinians. And so there's been a whole campaign of violence against the Palestinians, lots of raids, lots of disrespectful, I guess it's not disrespectful is a very light word, but people have been killed. Palestinian civilians have been killed. There's just been this march toward taking more and more territory for Israel at the expense of Palestine. So that's sort of prefacing all of this, and the Palestinians are now taking matters further and killing Israelis. So it is a very worrying time, let's just say that. So when I scryed and tuned in clairvoyantly, I saw that Israel is likely to accelerate now. Accelerate not just attacks, but accelerate their position. I think they are not long away from what I would consider to be almost like a full mobilization, because I heard a horn blowing as if calling everybody to the fore. So that is extremely worrying in itself. I feel that the West will need to get in there and broker peace. I do feel in terms of Israel that they've been asking other Arab nations to join them, but I feel that I don't know that will occur, but I do feel that they will get help more from an African type of direction. So I don't know which state that will be, but I feel that someone will come to Palestine's aid from that direction. But I think ultimately the UN and the West has to get in there and, again, like it's always done in the Middle East, and broker peace. Do I see some kind of war happening global? Do I see some kind of nuclear explosion? I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of violence, bloodshed, and I am seeing war there and an acceleration, and it will need to be brokered by the West. There will need to be a ceasefire brokered is what I'm feeling, and it's going to get a whole lot more. It's going to widen before it gets any better. So you could see them mobilising. I don't know if they've already done that, but mobilising. Almost like a full mobilisation, that's what I see. This will be an opportunity for Netanyahu to further establish his, I'm just going to say, thumbprint on Israel. You might remember that he was clamping down on his own Israeli protesters most recently, as he tried to establish, or is establishing, a rule of law that is not democratic. In terms of, I then of course went to that other space in our beautiful Earth that where we're having death and destruction, and that is Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And this is what I got. It was very interesting. Putin, in relation to Putin, the past will come back to haunt him. And I thought, what is that? The past will come back to haunt him. I immediately went to Prigozhin. I'm not saying Prigozhin is alive, but there is internal trouble brewing for Putin, and it is beyond his reign or grasp to fix. So it could be dissidents that have been anti-Putin forces that have established themselves outside of Russia and have been running this consistent campaign to topple him. But I feel it's beyond his grasp to fix. So he's going to have a reckoning with his past. Take that whichever way you want. When I tuned into, obviously, the former president and criminal indicted Donald Trump, he's already been mortally wounded. I got the image of a plane in war being fired upon, and he is descending like a ball of fire. And he's really burning himself up. As he descends in this ball of fire, he is actually burning everything. He wanted to burn, like literally go scorched earth on everybody else, but he's actually doing that himself. As with karma, that is the way that it works. What you project, what you put out there, inevitably, whether it comes back immediately or sometime later, inevitably rebounds. It's like looking into a mirror. It comes straight back at you. So anyone who's still supporting him will go down with him because he is already mortally wounded. And in fact, what is the definition of stupidity for some of them who are still ideologically attached to Trump at his extremist hip? It is the fact that they're not moving away from someone who is actually dead in the water. That's a terrible turn of phrase, but I'm just giving you what I'm getting. I feel that over the next few months I get a retreat from him. I get him going away. Now, I'm not saying going away somewhere. He could be put under house arrest, for example, for breaching partial protective or what they call gag orders. If you don't like that term, you can use another one, but he may be put under house arrest for some time, for example, or his health may be suffering. I just feel him retreating to Mar-a-Lago. What else? Politics in the US, because they're facing so much turmoil. It's like their political system. It's like the Industrial Revolution. It needs the Industrial Age, which led to a revolution. It needs modernising, and it's definitely at a crossroads at this time. And of course, with anything that is not serving its purpose, like we had in the Industrial Age, which led to the Industrial Revolution, it's a matter of progress. It's a matter of progress. And so sooner or later there's going to be reform and reform of their political systems. As soon as a party, and it is going to be the non-extreme party, whoever that party is, as soon as the non-extreme party gains enough power, reform will start in earnest. So this is very much the last gasp of the astrologer in me says Pluto in Capricorn. Now, the voice in Australia, do a separate reading on that for my Australian citizens, my fellow Australians, however you want to put it. I'll do a separate reading on that. The astrology chart is very interesting for a constitutional change. They're holding a referendum on October the 14th, as I've said, and that is to change the constitution to allow a Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice to Parliament and to the executive government, the public service, the government departments, which will advise on all matters affecting Aboriginality or Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, I should say. So post voice I've just got littered. There's a lot of litter post voice and a lot of cleaning up that will need to be done. And so what I got is that whichever way it goes, I'll leave that to the next reading. There will be some sort of reckoning and being all of us being brought to account for what went wrong. Whichever you consider to be wrong, whatever way you consider it, whether yes or no, there will be a lot of review and examination needed. I do feel, and I want to sort of bring this into the next reading, but I do kind of want to let those yes voters who are so generous and magnanimous to have their whole heart in the yes vote to allow Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders a constitutional body which will advise Parliament and the executive government, where they believe in that so strongly. If this referendum is not successful on October the 14th, it will come up again, not in the same form. It will move. I got the word sovereignty. And so I thought, gosh, what does that mean? Allowing putting in the Constitution recognition of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders' sovereignty. And I thought, well, how is that going to work? And of course, I look at Canada. I go to Canada. No, not Canada. I go to the US. Much the same as what the US has in its Constitution, which allows for sovereignty of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And how will this be interpreted at the ground level? It will allow self-government to a certain degree, self-government at the clan, tribal, land, territory. As I said, much like the US system has with the Native Americans. So a lot of litter post October 14th to be cleaned up in Australia, no matter which way that goes. All right, now I'm going to draw, because we're in such a terrible time. I've also got another reading about why we're experiencing these dark times. I'll release that toward the end of the week or middle of the week, whenever I feel it is appropriate to do so. But no, I want 3 cards for October, Spirit, October, November and December. Thank you also to my viewers for their generosity in whichever way they choose to be generous, and particularly to my viewers that spot the orbs each video. Thank you for doing that, because I can see them, but it's really nice to have those timestamps. So thank you, and for any other way you support this channel or my work. All right, 3, what's going to happen worldwide over the next 3 months? Worldwide over the next 3 months. Something around the seas. I'm getting the pelicans and the fish. So we could have, for example, with global warming, a whole bunch of fish turn up dead on the sea. It's we're going to get more signs that we've got a dis-ease going on in our environment, however you want to interpret that. Also, I want to throw to my Random Sage podcast, where I have actually come out at a moment of enlightenment. We're not going to say far right anymore. We're not going to say far left anymore. We're not going to say communism or anything like that. We're going to say one thing needs to be recognised is terribly dangerous for our system, for our democratic systems, and that is extremism. Now, wherever the gavel may fall, extremism is what we are all, the silent majority, if you want to put it like that, fighting against. And so I will just say extremism from here on in, so that you know the kind of behaviour, the kind of power grabbing, the kind of rule breaking, the kind of misinformation, race baiting, whatever you want to call it, occurs. Extremism. I think that's a word that will just fit quite nicely. So 3 cards. So if you haven't heard my Random Sage podcast, go ahead, go over and have a listen to it. It was published on Sunday. Okay, so my time, Australia time, Sunday. All right, you can find that on all of the major podcast channels, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you want to go to have a listen. Okay, so 3 months, please. The next 3 months. The next 3 months, please, for the world. Show me the next 3 months for the world. There could also be something to do with power failures or power surges, something like that I was getting. Okay, nice. All right, wow. So we finished strong. This is a time for unity in October, coming together. We're going to see that in multiple ways. I'll bring the laptop down. It is going to surprise us. I get the 3 of Cups are coming together to support. And of course, I do feel that we are in the midst of a tower moment. Tower moment being Uranus energy, lightning change, lightning events we're not going to see coming. Some of them will be good. They're not going to be always bad. We're going to get what's the word? When you get a boost, our faith is going to be restored in some ways over what we see in October. Our faith in the ability of the world to come together. So it is a time for unity. It is a time for coming together. Can you show me what is in here with these 3 of Cups? Why is the 3 of Cups here? What I like about these cards is they're very well posited. They're very positive. So we come together to try and put down an abuse of power. And this could be around our homes. Yeah, there's definitely something around 3. We're going to have to come together to tackle some sort of abuse of power, which, even though it might be far away from us, will ultimately, inevitably affect the place where we live. In terms of the US, we're going to see the former president, a lot occurring on around the former president. Show me what this is, this King of Pentacles here. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm just going to say, and I've kind of feel this quite strongly. I feel that the former president's mental health is, and I know we joke about, well, I don't joke about it, but I know some people joke about him. They don't really see the psychosis in him, the madness. I'm just going to say the mad king that I see. But I feel that it's just going to get more and more extreme to where people can't turn away from the madness that they're seeing. Show me the 3 of Cups. Why is the 3 of Cups here? I think it is time to acknowledge that extremism, when it goes to those lengths, is a form of madness when you're not thinking logically, where you are so outside of your brain and heart, of your consciousness, your unconsciousness, your collective consciousness, when you're so outside of yourself with that madness, there can only be one. it's not good for your well-being, let's just put it that way. Now we see moving on, and this could be a month where you may see, which might be nice, a movement away from Trumpism, a Trumpian candidate in the House. And in fact, I might just look at that now, because I get this kind of something occurring in the positive in relation to US politics. And I know I've got a lot of US viewers here, so let's take a look. Will Jim Jordan get the speakership? With this Three of Cups, is this in relation at all? Will Jim Jordan get the speakership? Okay, so we get the Tower and Strength, crossed by Strength, which shows me his role in January 6th is going to emerge as being an obstacle for him. What was that dropped? Excuse me while I go searching for these cards. The Empress, interesting. We've got a Russian connection here. Wow, so I see Russia. Maybe something emerging about Trump and Russia. Something's going to come up in October that will cause perhaps the Republicans in the House to maybe to step forward in another direction. So I do feel there could even be a third woman candidate, and for my reading on that, go ahead and take a look at that. Is Steve Scalise going to be the Speaker of the House? Whoa, they're flying out. He's got better cards. Scalise has better cards, and that might be Democrats coming together initially to support him. Many of you, although I feel a woman, maybe he has a woman deputy, I don't know. There's something that's going to surprise us. All right, let's take a look at, many of you have asked, will Trump be the Speaker of the House? Will Trump put himself up as Speaker of the House? I don't think so. We've got a silly wish fulfillment. Will Trump put himself up for Speaker of the House? No, he's got massive money problems. He's overburdened as it is. He's taking stock. I see him retreating in a way. So that's what I see for October. Let's see the Three of Cups in relation to Ukraine. Three of Cups in relation to Ukraine. So I get the Hermit, a lot of reviewing is going on about how best to support Ukraine. I get the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician. I think you're going to see increased support or a way around providing help for Ukraine as it battles its fight for democracy and its sovereignty, and the murder and pillaging and rape of its people at the hands of Vladimir Putin and his mercenaries. So I see that there's going to be a way found to support Ukraine. We're coming together because we have to in October. Okay, the Lovers card in November. What's this about? Show me the Lovers card. The Lovers card. Making choices, I'm feeling, about our relationships. The Emperor, control. The Emperor controlling. I know that will be Thanksgiving in November. The President could even be the President of America, Biden. What's this? World leader. What is going on here? What is occurring for the world in November? What is occurring for the world in November? Interesting. Control. We all have to maintain some sort of control. Show me what is occurring for the world in November. Something also around a princess I'm seeing. Something around royalty, so we'll just park that. We get disappointment, 3 cups lost but 1 remaining. I still see it coming together in November because circumstances, events will mean that we have to. Show me the Lovers card for November. Yeah, boundaries and guardrails. I do feel that there's still a continued fallout from Trump in the US. at the personal level for all of us. Doesn't matter where you live. It's about control of yourself and self-care. And I really feel that there's a crossroads for all of us occurring with the unrest and the unrest in the world that we're seeing. It's going to force us together, not apart, as uncertainty does, real uncertainty. It forces us together. So there's a lot going to be happening around relationships and really choosing the wise path way, and also the need for guardrails against what? Against this extremism. There's so much a loathing of extremism now, and I know from the silent majority, because I'm part of the silent majority, that, at some stage you really do need to look for a higher path. So I think a lot of people may be tuning out a little bit from politics. They may be able to watch things from afar. And we get the Temperance card, really contemplating the meaning of moderation. And, in some cases where that's not reciprocated, you'll put the guardrails up, even if it means cutting off some of your own family. Now we have finishing with strength, a need for strength in December. Let's take a look at what that might mean. A need for strength, a need for strength. What is this strength card in November? Okay, all right, so it's not going to be an easy 3 months at all. Our relationships, our commitments to each other, and surprise events are all going to be tested. But we have this emotional it's forging in the fires of this unrest, in the fires of this uncertainty. It's forging something new, and that is a new way of relating to each other beyond extremism. Okay, overall reading for January, overall cards for January. I didn't pull one for January, although it is sitting here. Yeah, coming together to rebuild. It's going to be quite a challenge over the next 3 months, for all the reasons I've already outlined. So let's see, overall reading for January, please. Overall reading, the most important thing we need to know, please. Yeah, so there's a lot of anxiety at this time, a lot of grief, a lot of, we've all been feeling it. I don't need to put it into words. Abuse of power. The Fool is in the past, new starts, and really having to juggle, make decisions, critical decisions, and we get the Seven of Swords. These are pretty terrible cards, so I know that what is going to unfold from October through to December will test us. We need to confront what is being shown in humanity now, and we need to come together to rebuild in a way that's stronger than before. The hopes and fears is the Hierophant, and that's the spirit, that's the divine, that's the universal law, and you should have faith in that, and we have control. At the end of the day, the strength that will be shown over the next 3 months is all about control, and we get the World card here. The Emperor, control, and the World. So I see this as being able to control what is unraveling at this time, and successfully defend against it, to stand our ground and to come together, as much as events might test us, to come together in a new way. And ultimately, at the end of the day, this consistency, this strength will be rewarded. And with a focus on young people being the future. Young people being our future. All right, I'm going to leave it there. That's our predictions over the next global predictions over the next 3 months. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.